Revenue management professionals, they fear technology.
How I can use it for my own benefit and understanding how it operates AI. And once you understand that, then you wouldn't have that worry at all.
Any three skill sets that a revenue management professional should be learning in today's world?
Not just sit in your desk and think that you will make wonders in organization.
There is a very interesting term that is called as a nowcast.
90% of the RMS are still working on a very old forecasting model.
Hospitality industry, we're looking at revenue.
How my pricing decision is going to affect my bottom line. The revenue managers will start being profitability managers as well.
Breaking the silos where revenue, sales, and marketing teams work as one.
We all three are interlinked.
Kind of day-to-day operations should bring that mindset within people. It's that it's not me alone, it's the entire team which is there with me.
One of the biggest motivator, the tangible values.
If there is a young professional who wants to join the hospitality industry,
for instance, the happiness when your forecast hits the needle or when your nowcast is correct is amazing. One thing that I live with is slogan from Ritwik. We are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen.
the hospitality industry has historically been a rapid adopter of enterprise technology. It has embraced systems like PaaS and ERP earlier than many other industries. It has streamlined these systems in the areas of operations to help manage complex bookings and unify financial controls across multiple properties. However, in recent years, what we have observed is the same industry has grown increasingly hesitant towards leading this technological adoption. They often lag in implementing next generation tools despite having clear benefits known to them. Today, with artificial intelligence rapidly transforming businesses and their landscapes, hospitality leaders are keenly aware of this disruption, however, are averse to it. This paradox sets the stage for innovators and forward looking thinkers like Ritwik Gautam, who stand poised to bridge the gap at the Lavi Hotels and Resorts in Bangkok. Ritwik comes with extensive years of experience, worked with big boys, including the Taj Hotels, Oakwoods, and the Marriotts. Today, he is the Director of Revenue Management and Sales across South and Southeast Asia. In this podcast, in the Road Ahead Talk Show, along with me, Vijeta, Soni, Ritwik joins me to talk to you about how technology has been disrupting his industry and what are the best practices that one should be following to adopt to it as a leader. So let's not waste our time. Go to Ritwik right away. Hi, Ritwik. Welcome to the Road Ahead Talk Show. And thank you so much for making time today from your busy schedule in helping us understand what does revenue management mean and sharing a lot of experiences of yours related to the technology side as well. So I'm looking forward to this discussion and welcome to the Road Ahead Talk Show.
Thank you, Vijeta. I'm glad to be here.
Perfect. So, Ritwik, let's make it straight to the point. Okay. A lot of revenue management professionals across the globe, they fear technology, especially artificial intelligence. They feel that artificial intelligence will be taking away their jobs. What's your take on that?
See, first and foremost, if anyone is afraid that artificial intelligence will take their jobs, then to be very honest, I would say they do not understand the capabilities of artificial intelligence. And the reason why I'm saying that is, and I'll give you a very practical example of a day-to-day functionality of a revenue manager and how it can never be replaced by artificial intelligence. So let's say you are setting up your pricing, you have your RMS, you get your pricing recommendation, but in the morning, there was a whole flow in your property which was shut down because there was some issues with the aircon,
Mm.
and there was some issues with there was just some issues right there, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now your artificial intelligence will never know that. You, as a revenue manager, you, as a hands on human being who is
Mm.
actually living and breathing, will know that, okay, I do not have one flow available for me. So that will change your dynamics of pricing completely in a different manner.
Mm.
That will change the way you will consider today's forecast to be, because you will, in a technical term, you will have, let's say, at least no less than 2 to 5% of your inventory out of order, which
Mm.
means that's null and void. You just cannot sell it. So
Yeah.
artificial intelligence can never reach a capacity where we as human beings, we operate in terms of our emotional intelligence, firstly, understanding of the holistic view of how things operate in an organization, in industry, and also there is something called as human qualitative, right? So artificial
Mm-hmm.
intelligence is more about quantitative things, I would rather say.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it will only, if your prompts are correct, then and then only the reward will be correct. But
That's
for
true.
us, but for us humans, we have the capacity to, understand, think if the prompts given to us are correct or not. So for me,
Absolutely.
I would say it's just about, not being afraid that AI will take my job or my position, but rather how I can use it for my own benefit and understanding how it operates AI. And I would say, once you understand that, then you wouldn't have that worry at all. I mean, I use AI on a day-to-day basis. Daily, I use it for my
Mm.
own functions, but I use it in a way so that I can get things done faster, and faster in terms of quantitative things. And I focus more on strategies and, internal cross-functional collaboration, because your AI will never go and talk with your finance heads. You have to do that.
So, if there are three things that a
Mhm,
revenue management professional has to
mhm,
learn in this age today, what
mhm.
would those three things be according to you?
First and the
Three things, or
foremost,
maybe three skill sets. Sorry, I mean, if there are any three
mhm.
skill sets that a revenue management professional should be learning in today's world, what would those be and why?
I think the first and the foremost would be you have to be comfortable with the technology you have in hand with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the why is pretty much self-spoken, that why you have to be comfortable with that. I mean, you cannot come to a role which demands, or not just a role, you cannot come to this industry, in today's hospitality industry, being technologically illiterate or not understanding the basics. So that's the first and the foremost thing. The second one, which I would always, emphasize on, is having an understanding of complete industry, like having a holistic understanding as a revenue manager or as a revenue management professional. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot just sit in your in your desk
Mm-hmm.
and think that you will make wonders in the organization. No, you have to go talk with your housekeepers, you have to
Mm-hmm.
walk around, you have to understand how's your finance doing. And yeah, so pretty much how's your front office. Like, for example, I started my career from front office, and
Mm-hmm.
till this day I'm very fortunate that I started from front of the house, because if you are disconnected from front of the house, then I'm sorry, this,
Yeah,
even RM as a profession is not meant for you. So
true.
you have to have that holistic view of the functioning of hotels. I
Mm.
always say that hotels are a
Mm.
machine. So you have to
Right.
understand each and every moving part of the machine.
That's
And
right.
and the third one would be you have to start developing leadership skills and strategic thinking. The faster that is, the faster you inculcate those things in
Mm.
yourself,
Mm.
the better it would be for anybody if they are considering this for long-term career.
Mm,
because now the way things are moving, everybody wants you to think
mm,
strategically, not just
mm.
tactically. And
True.
and to be very honest, Vijeta, I'm still surprised that even in today's environment, there are many senior leaders who cannot differentiate between a strategy and a tactic. And you know, for me, it's surprising because I just see it on a day-to-day basis. Of course, I
Mm,
wouldn't, pinpoint anybody or anything, but it's just, strange. So I would say these are the three most essential things which any young aspirant who's, keen or interested should inculcate in themselves, as early in their career as possible. And the best time, if you want me to quantify it, would
mm.
be by the time you hit your early 30s, you
Yeah.
should have all these three things completely within you. Or else, I mean, you can still excel, but it just won't be that enjoyable.
Very true. I mean, talking about Excel, I mean, one thing that I have seen a lot of revenue professionals using in the hospitality industry is to do some guesstimated demand forecastings.
Mhm,
Uh, so while in some properties it is happening manually,
mhm,
there are many other chains who are using legacy RMSs.
mhm,
But what I've always understood is that these legacy systems, when they are forecasting, their forecasting goes haywire in different
mhm,
ways. Say, for example, if they are forecasting that your property will be 92% filled today, you end up having a 60% filled property,
mhm,
right? A huge difference between
mhm,
what is reality versus what was predicted for.
mhm,
There is a very interesting term which is going on, which is called as a nowcast. Rather
mhm,
than forecast, you do a
mhm.
nowcast.
Yeah.
What is your take on that?
Firstly, I love the term nowcast, because hits hits the nail on the head. Nowcast. You have to, I would say, predict. Yeah, I mean, I think we can still use the word predict. You have to
Mhm.
predict what's gonna happen now.
Now.
So, okay, now my take on that would be first and foremost, I would say still n-
Mhm.
90% of the RMSs which are there in our industry are still working on a very old forecasting model, which generally which generally we call is, you know, time-based model. Like
Yeah.
your history will decide your future. And that might be good, let's say 10 years ago, but today, I mean, I can give you examples from my day-to-day functioning. Like for instance, if we all remember mid of this year, there was a significant disturbance in the Middle East parts, right? And we had a set of budgets forecast, but the moment that happened, we had to anticipate what will happen now
Mm.
and how
Mm.
this current thing which is going on is going to affect my destination, which was
Mm.
heavily reliant on that particular geo source for that particular month. Because historically, that particular geo source is the geo source which is driving my forecast.
True.
So then and also, I mean, I think this is a question which covers a lot of things, to be very honest. It also brings in a feasibility and risk management to a certain level, because there you are also calculating that, okay, this is the risk in terms of, okay, one geo source is closed, I will move and see where I can get business from the
Mm.
existing geo source which are still giving us, what do you call, in our terms we call it those room nights.
Yeah.
But at what price point, and how much is that, and how much I can get that.
Mm.
So that's where you start looking at nowcast, and then
Mm.
and that's why I told in the beginning, then it becomes even more important when you have especially the cross-functional capacities.
So, Ritwik, what I would like to really understand is
Mhm,
while the legacy systems were built long time back,
mhm,
uh, what can the RMS of today look like, right?
Mhm,
So that it brings in that agility of today's world and the
mhm,
future, so that the lives of a revenue professional in the hospitality industry becomes much more simpler because of
mhm,
your experience. If you can think about certain things which you would
mhm,
expect from uh, a RMS, which can
mhm.
help make lives of the professionals in this industry much more simpler.
Sure. I mean, the first and the foremost, which I would highlight would be proper data sources and unified data source. So that's very crucial and essential if we have to be agile in ever-changing environment. So my expectations from a software would be that I do not need to go and search for informations which
Hmm.
might take me, an hour or
Yeah.
so to get it, but rather my software gives me an information based on which we can firstly and foremost do a nowcast, which we just talked about. And
Mm-hmm.
also at the same time, it gives me indicators of if scenarios. Bec-
Mm-hmm.
And that's very essential for us because we have to understand we have our brains do have a certain capacity, and beyond that it will shut off, or it will, yeah, when technically it will shut off, to be very honest. So that's where if scenarios play into picture, and that's why lately there are a lot of RMSs which are moving into a direction of not just pricing, but they are giving you if scenarios. Like for instance, I know a product in the industry which tells me that this, if I feed in the data that this is my occupancy, this is my on the books, this is my forecast. If I
Mm-hmm.
take this group business, what will happen if I take
Yes.
this group business at this ADR, if I take this group business at this ADR.
Yeah.
So then it immediately gives me an indicator that if I take it, let's say $100, then I'll be
Mm.
behind my forecast by X value. If I take it
True.
$150, then I'll be meeting my forecast, and
Mm.
henceforth. So that's what we as a RM professional and as an operators who, you know, work on a daily basis with it, that's what we want. And for me, the most crucial thing will be if scenarios, because that solves a lot of things. And it
Mhm.
will also be, and it's also very crucial in terms of proper holistic budgeting, because let's be honest,
Mm.
the bottom line is all the stakeholder needs
Yeah.
money in the bank. Now,
True.
for that, all these, if there is a proper if scenario situation, then that will make me more agile than what I would have been without that aid.
So that brings me to my next segment, which is talking about beyond revenue, bringing in
Mhm.
profitability, feasibility, and looking at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, often, often I have seen that the RM speak about a very high ADR. I have a
Mhm.
very high ADR. Right.
Mhm.
That might not always be correct.
Mhm.
How should a RM or a professional in the revenue side of a
Mhm.
hospitality industry be looking at revenue? Is it just great occupancies, great ADRs,
Mhm.
or looking beyond the total revenue side? How should things be pictured as when you look at the bigger picture,
Mhm.
right? What should a RM do to start looking at a bigger picture?
First and foremost will be cost of sale, because I can produce, let's say, 1,000 room nights at an ADR of $500 from an OTA. But the moment I calculate that 20% commission, where does that go? That just washes
Mm,
away my bottom line.
mm,
So, and that's another, and that's something which I have been advocating to all my team members and all my colleagues whom I engage with on a day-to-day operation. As an RM, become commercially literate.
Hmm.
Understand what EBITDA means.
Hmm.
Understand what is beyond your three KPIs, which we revolve around MPI, ARI, RGI. Think beyond that. Think beyond RevPAR.
Yeah.
Think about
Hmm.
GOPAR, gross operating profit per available
Yeah.
room. The moment you start thinking about that, the moment you start thinking about cost of sales, how my
Hmm.
pricing decision is going to affect my
Hmm.
bottom line. But
Yeah.
as I said, and this was one of the challenges in one of our portfolio last year. It was a huge
Hmm.
challenge. We were just, filling up,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and we were happy that okay, we are sitting at 90, 95, and I was like, yes, we are. But and I asked only one question to these, and I asked only one question: what's your fixed cost per room if it remains empty and if it is filled by a guest? The moment
Hmm.
you start thinking from that perspective, how much
Hmm.
does a soap cost? How much does electricity cost?
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
and that thinking will help you, of course, in your career, and also for you to nurture your relationships with the key stakeholders within the entity you are working for. So, and that's all feasibility is about. If we have to go into the tangent of feasibility, that's all about where your broader picture should be, and how you should operate in terms of understanding of a bigger picture. So it's not just top line, it's also the bottom line. And that's why you will see that very soon the shift has already started, and very soon the revenue managers will start being profitability managers as well. So
Hmm.
again, and
Yeah.
this is something which you will listen from me a lot, which is the cross functional
Yeah.
mindset.
So when you're thinking about the cross-functional thought process within the
Mhm,
mindsets of people,
mhm, mhm,
uh, my next segment over here is very much aligned to it, which is breaking the silos where
mhm,
revenue, sales, and marketing teams work
mhm,
as one.
mhm,
Okay. So why do you think it is critical for revenue teams, the sales teams, and the marketing teams to work together when you're looking at things from a holistic perspective? And how to make that happen? So, one is it's very
mhm,
easy to say that, the other thing is to make it happen.
mhm,
So,
mhm,
this question is twofold. If you
mhm.
can answer that, it's going to be wonderful.
Of course, sure. See, first and foremost, if you look at the functionality of these three entities, right? Marketing, sales, and revenue management, we all three are interlinked, and none of us can operate without each other, which
Hmm.
ironically is not what current atmosphere or current scenario of the industry is. Like, I mean, even if I talk about the big boys, like I have worked with big boys, we have big boys in our portfolio, MNCs, and that's what, at to a certain level, at times kind of frustrates me, that even in these organizations, these entities, all these nuances that are just not taken care of. And again, I'll give you a very realistic and a live example. Uh, and this happened very recently for us. And
Hmm.
so I'll go with how the whole process happened and how we broke the silos and what was the outcome of it. So
Mhm.
so at the top of it sits marketing for me. I'll just give you my perspective.
Okay.
For me, revenue management, yes, we are number geeks, but for me, marketing is always at the top of the funnel for me, because those folks, they get me an intelligence on who is clicking on my website, from where
Hmm.
those hits are coming, who is visiting my pages. Because I mean, there might be RMS which I'm not aware of which can do that,
Hmm.
but at least
Hmm.
in my knowledge, there is none software at my disposal which will give me an indication of who visited my website and from which nationality, from which geo source. So for us, what happened technically was, our marketing team, they came to us and they told us that, listen, guys, all of a sudden we are getting a lot of hit for one particular month from
Mm,
one particular geo source.
mm, mm,
And then we as an organization, we as a team, because
mm.
team is the most critical word here,
Yes.
caps lock, bold, team. We as a team, we took an initiative that sales folks, because for our sales team, they had agents who were sitting in that geo source. So we communicated with them. We understood what's going on. And then we came to know that, there is an event, there's a holiday which has just
Mm,
been announced, because that's very
mm,
common in Southeast Asia. Like, for instance,
mm.
1 week ago in Thailand, they announced that 2nd January next year will be a public holiday because it's on a Friday. So now we have 5 day long weekend. S-
Wow.
So, and that's very common for us and for our neighboring countries to have this short span. Like, you get
Mm,
announcement in very short span.
yes.
So then
Mm,
we came to know that there's a holiday which has been announced. That's a long
mm,
weekend for them,
mm,
and they are visiting, looking at the website, trying to book. Then immediately, me as a revenue lead, what I did, guys, put up your fences,
mm,
give a point of sale discount for that
mm.
particular geo source, but with a length of stay restriction. Because if
Yes.
I'm giving something, I'm also taking something, right?
True.
And that helped us to generate 20% better RGI than last year. And this is a
Wow.
live example, a real example. And
Wonderful.
all that was only possible because, again, we were working as a team. And
Mm,
that was something which was inculcated for us in the for us. And when I say inculcated, that's where I'll talk about the shifts which you were mentioning, right? Like what kind of shifts culturally or operationally is required. So when we are talking about culturally, the first thing I would say is change the mindset of I win to we win together.
mm.
Very
But how
difficult.
do you do that? But how do you do that?
How do you do
It's
that?
very
It's
easy to,
uh-huh,
I mean, what
exactly.
kind of day-to-day operations should bring
Mhm,
that mindset within people? It's that
mhm,
it's not me alone, it's the entire
mhm,
team which is there with me.
mhm. KPIs.
Hmm. Okay.
Because let's be very honest, one of the biggest motivator for anybody is the tangible values. By tangible, I mean it might be your bonuses, it might be your appraisal. Pizza doesn't motivate people in 2025, right? So, like, and another example I'll give you, another example, but it's just a statement. Like, for me as a revenue manager, if my RGI is, let's say, above 100, I get my appraisal. But how does my GM gets his appraisal? Not on RGI, he gets on GOP. So unless gross operating profit is a key metric for each
Mm,
and every individual within the organization, especially in the commercial background.
mm,
First is that thing, because that would be the one of the biggest motivator. And the second one would be nurturing it in terms of educating them, handholding, because handholding would still be needed. And you have to break the
right.
ice. You have to
So true.
come out of this mindset of revenue management and sales and marketing, they are working separately. I mean, there's still competition. I mean, m- like for us as a white label operator, when we take over any organization, when we take over any hotel, the first
Mm,
thing we do is we go to that property, and me and my sales guy, we all sit together with the whole commercial team of the organization. I never sit separately with revenue managers, never.
mm,
I always sit with the whole team. We make sure, because for us as a white label operator, let's be tangible and let's be realistic. I
mm,
get it from the GOP margins. So for me, it's even quintessential to educate the team of,
mm.
you have to work together in unison. So I hope that answers the question that,
Yes.
what kind of shifts are needed. Uh, and how it can be done.
So measure it, right? It has
Mhm.
to be coming from top to down. It cannot.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
starting from the leadership of the organization
Mhm.
should be absolutely in sync with each other.
Mhm.
Only then will these organizations, which usually are silos in multiple
Mhm.
companies, they start talking in unison once the leadership is all aligned simultaneously in a company like yours. Great, wonderful example with that long weekend indicator, which was picked up by your marketing team. So
Exactly. Yeah.
with that,
Mhm.
because we are running out of time. Thank you. There is still so much that I can learn from
Mhm.
you. But one
Mhm.
question that I want to
Mhm.
ask you, and pretty sure many of our young listeners will be listening to this and wanting
Mhm.
to understand, is that if there is a young professional, maybe
Mhm.
an engineer or maybe a financial analyst who wants to
Mhm.
join the hospitality industry,
Mhm.
why should he join in this age? What
Mhm.
should he or she be looking forward to when it comes
Mhm.
to a career trajectory? What would you say?
I would say it's a very satisfying work. And I'm telling you from both perspective, from a commercial perspective and also from a perspective coming from a pure hospitality. Like for instance, the moment you see a happiness in your customer's face, in your guest face, that will make your day. At least it will help for me. At least it helped for me.
Hmm.
The second thing which I would mention is one thing that I live with is slogan from Ritz Carlton. We are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. Now you tell me any organization or any industry which operates at this level where we are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. I don't think so, to be very honest. There could be, but it just gives you that, it just gives you that satisfaction that if somebody was upset, you made their days, small intangible things. Now, and we talked about tangibles a lot. Now let's
Mhm.
talk about intangibles as well. So
Mm.
these small intangible things do bring you happiness. Now, if we are talking about commercial, for instance, the happiness when your forecast hits the needle or when your nowcast is correct is amazing. It's that I mean, if I can be expressive, is that I did it. It worked.
Yeah.
What I predicted was correct. So I would say these are the things pretty much. And again, it's not an easy industry to work at any forefront.
Mm.
Let it be commercial, let it be guest facing,
Mm.
but the level of satisfaction and also the understanding to certain nuances, like for instance, for me now I can differentiate who is from a hospitality industry and who is not when I'm riding metro, because the
Mm.
way we behave, the
Yeah.
way we
I,
talk, it just polishes us,
it
like I
does. It
so
does. It does. I
like
have seen that.
you can anticipate people need. And if I have to funnel it down, if somebody wants to come, and like he or she is just graduating and they are talking about revenue management, how revenue management after 10 years will change your mind in terms of how you are living. Like for example, and I'll give you an example from my personal life. Like
Mhm.
last month I purchased a new vehicle. And when I purchased that new vehicle, my RM brain was already telling me what can go wrong with this particular vehicle, what I need to be considerate about in terms of how to fix what can go wrong. That if scenario, right? Which we
Mm.
discussed about. So
Mm.
that understanding comes from me working for a
The
decade
mm.
in the RM function where my
Yeah.
brain is wired to work in that manner. So yeah, so any young folks who are interested, I mean, it will be difficult first 5 to 6 years when you start.
Mm.
And that's why I mentioned in the very beginning of our conversation that we as an industry also have to make sure that if we get a correct talent for at least for first 5 years, we have to nurture and handle them
Mm.
so that they don't lose that drive or that spark which they came with.
True. Very true. And I really feel, I mean, this, as you rightly said, this is one of the most empathetic industry that I have seen.
Mhm,
Because unless you start understanding and listening the emotions of your guests and the
mhm,
people around you, you would
mhm,
not be successful. So that empathy is really important. And
mhm,
the Gen Z today is highly
mhm.
geared towards empathy. So this
Oh,
hospitality
that's.
industry is absolutely a great
Mhm,
attractor
mhm,
and should be a great option for those people. Like, for example,
mhm,
people in the revenue side. I mean, if you love numbers, revenue
mhm,
side is for you. If you like marketing, you have an amazing career
mhm,
in that area as well. If you like sales, I mean,
mhm,
sales is also one of the very strong arms. I mean, every day
mhm,
you're taking very interesting decisions. So this
mhm,
industry is really great when it comes to the new careers, and especially the Gen Zs. I'm pretty sure they're going to love it. So with that segment,
mhm,
I'm very happy to move to
mhm.
the rapid fire round. What is more unpredictable, guest behavior or market demand?
Yes, behavior.
One pricing myth that you wish should disappear from this world.
Reactive pricing.
Gut instinct or data dashboards? What do you check first when you wake up?
After 10 years, I know that my gut is driven by data, so I still believe in my gut.
So true. So true. One tech tool that you cannot live without.
If I have to be specific, property management system, because that's the brain of our industry. That's a
True. What's harder, forecasting or explaining forecasting to someone?
explaining.
So true.
That was an easy one.
One thing that you wish every GM understood about pricing.
Pricing is equal to value proposition.
If you could name or if you could
Mhm,
rename revenue manager,
mhm.
what would you call it?
I would call us choreographers because we can choreograph the whole commercial.
Okay. What is
Mhm,
more satisfying, a perfect
mhm.
forecast or a surprise upsell?
A surprise upsell because if I'm doing my job properly, then my forecast should be there.
Complete this sentence. The future of revenue is dash dash dash.
Commercial leaders.
Good. With that, thank you so much. It
Thank
was
you,
pleasure to
Vijeta.
have you on the Road Ahead Talk Show. Thank you for
100%.
making it so relatable and so interesting for everyone.
I hope I could add value to your audience and to whosoever is watching this. I mean, at least I can have them think about our day-to-day operation and our industry from a different perspective. And if I can change even thought process of handful of people, then I think what you are doing, what I'm doing, the 1.5 hour we spent would be really valuable. So yeah,
Absolutely.
thank you, Vijeta, and I look forward to listening you with more industry leaders, more folks, and all the best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being an amazing speaker today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.